smoking, drinking. Ooh, he drove a Jaguar. See, Mom, that proves it. My father doesn't smoke. As for drinking, he tells me it'll kill you more surely than a pistol shot. And he always drives his Eldorado Cadillac 5 miles under the speed limit. But today, July 5th, 1954, my father might have broken that law for the first time in his life. He's returning from a $1 million round table near Cleveland, and with a killer on the loose, he wants to get out of northern Ohio as fast as he can. The $1 million round table is this convention for insurance agents who sell over $1 million worth of insurance. My father goes every year. Now, he snatches the paper from my mother. Sweat is pouring off of his bald head. 25 blows to the head, Mom. And her pajamas were pulled off. Bert, shh! Little pitches have big ears. I look up from changing the diapers on my Betsy Wetsy doll. Why were her PJs pulled up? Sleepy time. Betsy Wetsy and I head upstairs. Watch out, my father calls after me. Maybe Dr. Sam is under your bed. Who's Dr. Sam, Daddy? The guy who killed his wife. He's the devil, right here in Ohio. Dr. Sam Sheppard. Bay Village is the Cleveland suburb where Dr. Sam's wife, Marilyn, was murdered. We live about 2 hours south of there in Bexley, near Columbus, but it's still too close for comfort. My parents moved to Bexley in the late 40s from Boston, when my father gets a job as the general manager of the Aetna Life Insurance Company in Columbus. They go house hunting. My father wants to live in Upper Arlington because it's restricted. Christians only. But my mother likes Bexley because it's safe. There's a policeman at every party. It's the law. I'm not making this up. But my father has heard there are a lot of Jewish people there. My mother tells him it's okay because they're rich. Bexley was founded around the turn of the century by a bunch of millionaires who wanted to get away from sinful city life and all the scary people in Columbus. It has no Italians, Irish, or other dangerous foreigners who belong to the Catholic Church. My father is glad to hear it because he knows those Catholics multiply like rabbits. It's all part of a plot by the Pope to take over the world. The Pope is someone my father fears as much as Stalin or Mao Zedong. But still, he's not convinced he can live side by side with people who killed Jesus Christ. Then my mother tells him something that changes his mind. Bert, Bexley's a dry town. And that's why I'm from Bexley. Oh, after living in Bexley a few months, my parents find out that some people there do drink. But if they get out of hand, they're carted away to Harding Sanitarium and we never speak about them again. Harding is this big stone building surrounded by an iron fence with spikes, run by a bunch of vegetarians. Before the Sheppard murder case, the biggest crime anyone ever talked about was when someone stole a gecko from the Bexley pet parlor after buying 12 crickets. Now, people are locking their doors, buying guard dogs, and standing out on street corners till all hours discussing the crime of the century. For my father, this crime is personal. It's the first time one of his kind has ever broken the law. Dr. Sam has embarrassed my father and all of his upstanding friends, and they will not rest until justice is done. July 7th, 1954. Get that killer. July 14th. Getting away with murder. July 16th. When will the real killer be arrested? July 17th. Oh, my father's old Navy buddy, Stu Tuttle, calls. Did you know yours truly made the front page of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Commander? How come? Went over to the scene of the crime to see if I could lend a hand, and reporter snapped a picture. Oh, Bert, that place was a three-ring circus. Whole neighborhood running around, hunting up evidence. They find anything? I found a trowel in the garden. Thought it might be the murder weapon, so I turned it over to the police. But first I used it to dig up some grass from Dr. Sam's lawn. What you want with that? Are you kidding, buddy? Someday that grass could be worth a fortune. Oh, Bert, one more thing. I hear tell Dr. Sam's middle name is Holmes. And relation? Bert, are you there? July 21st. Who will speak for Maryland? I know. My father runs into the front yard. Bob, Jack, Homer, could I bend your ears for a minute? I watch from my bedroom window as a group of neighbors gather on our lawn. Men, there's a killer in our midst, and he isn't like those cowards down on Long Street that don't know any better. This is too close to home, boys. Our loved ones got to be protected. What we ought to do is start a letter-writing campaign to the governor, demanding the immediate arrest of Dr. Sam. Stu Tuttle pipes up. No, Bert, Governor Lauschi's already got hunters, and he's sitting on his hands. Just like a Democrat. We need a battle plan. Tomorrow, let's march up to Bay Village and mount an offensive. Stu says to my father, Commander, you're the highest-ranking officer here. I think you ought to spearhead this mission. The men cheer. Other neighbors come into our yard. My father mounts the front porch. Thanks for your faith in me, boys. I'd be honored to serve. Now, here's our strategy. This weekend, at 600 hours, men whose names begin with A through M, you take the land offensive. Drive up to Bay Village, camp out in Sheppard's front yard. N through Z, you're the amphibian